Hello and welcome to this week's software demonstration for the Accounting and Bookkeeping Support Group. We're in the UK, but I'm welcoming Tom Johnson from down under Australia. What time is it there, Tom?
Currently, it is a lovely 3 a.m.
Oh my goodness. Well, you have my sympathies and thank you so much for coming to share this with us. Now, we haven't heard of Content Snare in the UK yet, so I'm going to hand over to you. You can tell us about it, what it does, why we need it, and all that sort of thing. Over to you.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for the intro. That was some jazzy music. That was really cool. Right, yeah. So you've never heard of Content Snare. If this is the first time you've ever heard of us, really simply, what we do is we get the information that you need from clients, whether that be from onboarding, the tax return, individual tax returns, all the way through to queries. Right now, when accountants get information and bookkeepers get information from their clients, one of the biggest things is email, a checklist, or a drive. But the problem with that is you send an email, you ask for three things, and the client skips those three things, gives you one thing. You then say, hey, can you upload your bank statement to this Google Drive here? And it's amazing because they upload that piece of information, but it's not a bank statement, it's a screenshot, and they've accidentally added the wrong one. It's a picture of their dog. And you're sat there thinking, cool, I can't quite upload a picture of somebody's dog into Zero, QuickBooks, or Sage, or whatever you're using. So then you're like, oh, I need to go back to that person. The problem with that as well is then you've got no kind of like underlying structure. So there's no reminders. And for the client, you know what it's like. You get this massive checklist. There's like 50 things in there. And you're thinking, whoa, that's a lot of stuff that I need to do. I'll eventually get round to it. But when they eventually get round to it, it's when you need it. It's the deadline. So all of a sudden, it then becomes your problem. And the impact all of that makes is, first and foremost, you're having to spend a lot of time, like almost like a clingy ex, like, are you still awake? But instead of, are you still awake? It's, where's this information? And that's a massive waste of your time. The second part of that is the impact it makes on your workflow. So we are based in Australia, and we have a lot of Australian bookkeepers and accountants who use us, but we also have UK accountants and bookkeepers. And in preparation for this, I spoke to a lot of them, and a lot of them said to me, it is the impact on workflow. That's the thing that Content Snare does. Right now, a lot of people have this thing where it kind of goes like this. They ask for they're waiting for all the information. All the workload comes up to one point. They have to shut down almost to do that workload, that one piece. Then it flattens out again, and it creates irregular spikes. So what we do is we focus massively on the client's experience. So we make it really easy for your client to give you the information. And this is a direct quote that I've had from somebody based in the UK. They have 70-year-olds using this software. And the reason why it's restricted back, we have a ton of information that tells us that things like stalled projects. I'm sure you have stalled projects where you need to maybe submit a VAT return, or maybe you just need to do a piece of work for a client, but you can't do it because you only have 50% of the information. 70% of the users that use Content Snare see a reduction in stalled projects. The benefits of that is you're going to spend less time chasing up. And to be honest, you probably don't want to be sending another, hey, where's this piece of information? You'd rather just be getting on with the work. So that's who we are. That's the problem we solve. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share Content Snare with you now. I'm going to run you through the platform. At the end of this, you should be able to do one or two things. You should say, that guy's absolutely nuts. Don't know what he's talking about. Never want to hear from him again. Hopefully it's not that one. Or the second one is you're going to say, actually, we can see where this works in our business, and you'll start a trial and it will be the start of an amazing relationship. Hopefully it's that one. But again, if you tell me I'm weird and you don't want to listen, you don't ever want to speak to me again, I will also understand. So this is Content Snare. When you log in, this is the first thing you're going to see. Now, a request. What's that? Really simply, that's you sending out a request for information from the client. So when you send that out, it goes out. And then what we can see is when it comes into Content Snare, you have somewhat of a dashboard. So stuff in this color here, what that means is that the client has started working on the request. So much like a lot of the digital tools you're probably using right now, The benefit of them is to be able to work collaboratively, and that's exactly what you can do here. You can see this one, for example. This is onboarding. 12 have been completed, and we're still waiting for 35. But with that 12 piece of information, I can start working through the client's request, and then I can see the breakdown of other stuff that's been published. What I can do here is I can filter. So I can say, right, I want to see all the stuff that is currently waiting and is underneath this owner. The beauty of these filtering criteria here is, let's say, for example, you've got one of your client managers or somebody in your team that handles a portfolio of clients, and they suddenly go off ill or they go on holiday, and you want to see where are their clients with their request. You can filter here and you can see that information. You can see where everybody is. So that's just a dashboard where you can come in and see what's happening. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run you through a little bit more in depth of kind of how the platform works. One of the things that's really, really key is when you send out a request from Content Snare, if you've got your own brand, it's really important to obviously show your branding. So you can add your logo, your colors, and even add your domain. So what happens there is when you send stuff out, it appears that it's been sent from you, which obviously helps your authenticity. But here's the thing that makes Content Snare what it is, our templates. So we have a bunch of pre-made templates that will help you get information from your clients. So you can see we have an accounting and bookkeeping template gallery. One of my favorite ones is this down here, tax return documentation for UK individuals. We've also got it for the business year end as well. Things like zero payroll setup. These are all templates that will help you get the information you need, but you can completely create your own requests. Before we dive into that, and that's going to be the meat of what this presentation is, I just want to talk to you about this. So one of the worst things that you probably hate doing is sending that, hey, where is this piece of information? Or, hey, I'm waiting on this stuff here. In Content Snare, we have pre-built automatic reminders that will go out to the client based on where they are in that process. And that is just based off a series of statements. So this is a default reminder schedule. If right now I send any one of you a request, based on how you progress through that request, you'll get one of these reminders if you haven't done the work. So what that's going to do is it means Content Snare is going to chase your clients for the information. The beauty of that is you can actually create your own schedule. You can send emails. You can also send text messages as well. The way that Content Snare works on the desktop site is exactly the same way that it works on the phone. So all of a sudden you can send out reminders, you can send out requests. So that's one thing I want to highlight. But what we're going to do is we're going to jump into one of our requests. So let's jump into the individual tax return documentation request. So I can preview it, and then we're going to go straight into it now. The first thing we can do here is we can give it an instruction page. So if this is the first time you're sending this out to a client, they'll see the instruction of how to fill this in. We're making their life a little bit easier. Any attachments that you want to send to them at this point, you can do that here. Then you can choose who the content owner is. Let's say you've got a practice manager, back-end admin staff. They can actually create these requests and send them out on behalf of your client managers. So we'll say continue. What's going to happen now is that's going to create the template for me. And what you can see now is we have down this left-hand side is we have pages. What that does is that separates all the information we need from a client out. It makes it a lot easier for your client to understand and also just give you the information. And then what we have under here is we have all the different fields. Now, the thing that I really, really like is when you get sent a request, like a checklist or a request for information, and say it's got like 20 questions, right? 3 of them are relevant to you. The others you have to just say NA. That process is switches a lot of people off. And it's part of the reason why you might not be getting the information. So what we have is we have things like conditional logic. So what this means is it's only ever going to show the questions to a client that are relevant to them. So this here, please provide your spouse's full name. This is conditioned based off this question type here. Are you legally married? If they say yes, we're going to ask for this information. If they say no, these 2 boxes underneath aren't even going to show up. So all of a sudden, this, rather than sending out a massive bunch of questions, you're just going to say, cool, this is the relevant information I need for you. Now, what we have is we have all these different field types. So you can ask for single line, great for asking names. Multi-line, hey, can you give us a description of your business? We've also got image upload, file upload. We're going to jump into file upload in a minute. Validation fields. So I'm sure if you had £1 for every time someone gave you an email address that was slightly incorrect and had a typo or a phone number that had the wrong amount of digits. Validation fields prevent that. So if we click one of those, what we can do is we can, for example, we can choose the country code and it will also validate. So it means that we have to give the right information. So if, for example, someone entered an email address that didn't have an @ sign, they wouldn't be able to do that. Then we have things like checkboxes, single choices and drop downs. The checkbox is really, really great. If, for example, you want to give somebody a list of, hey, have you done this? Check this box if this is relevant. So we have all these options. I'm just going to show you file upload right now. So file upload is really, really great. Is if you need, for example, let's say somebody's part of a limited company and we need their P45s or their P60s. What we can do is we can say, right, upload P60, P45, and supporting docs. So we can ask for that here, but what we can actually put underneath here is we can give them the instructions. Here's how to find that information. So what will happen now is your client will get an instruction on how to answer the question, and they know exactly what you're asking for. But if we come over to this right-hand side, we can give them the option to upload multiple files, but more importantly, this is the bit that I really love, is we can restrict that file type. So they can only give us PDF. So right now, rather than me say, hey, give me P60, P45, and that be it, I've given the client a clear instruction on what they need to give me. I can tell them how to do that, and I can restrict this file type that they can give me. Really great example is if you've got a client that doesn't have bank feeds or needs to constantly refresh bank feeds, you can go and do that, and you can say, hey, this is the information I need. And what you can see is as we go through, there's loads of different information here. Hey, please provide your date of birth, national insurance number, sources of income. Are you currently employed, unemployed, self-employed, retired? There's checkboxes here. And again, these checkboxes, if they check these boxes, these pieces of information requests will show up based on what happens here. Now, I don't expect you to get all of this. This is a huge platform. The best thing you can do is set yourself up a free trial and start building your own requests. But when you're ready, what we can do is if, for example, we know some of the information about the client, we can pre-fill it. So I select this mode, hit the pre-fill. If we know their full name, I can do this. I can put the full name in, for example. Now you want to know my full name. I can submit that for review. And what I can do is I can actually leave a comment for the client. So I can say, please confirm if wrong. Please confirm if wrong. So now they don't have to do anything. We already have that piece of information. So we hit finalize. We can choose the client. We've just released a new feature, which is bulk and recurring requests. So if you want to send this out to, for example, 100 people at once, you can. But the bit that I really love is this. Allow clients access without logging in. App fatigue is a real thing right now. What happens is the client gets a link. They can create a 4-digit PIN code. Every time they access that link, they enter that 4-digit PIN code and away they start going. So we publish and send. It's got the communication schedule. It's got a deadline. And then what will happen is, I'm just going to quickly show you what the client will see. So what would happen is the client would then get this, whether it's be on their phone or their email. They can protect it with a PIN, like so. They'll come through to the request, and all of a sudden, what you can see is down this left-hand side, this is what we need. This is the introduction screen. You can put your own video. You can completely customize every part of this. Now, this is the bit that we've already done for the client. Cool, they're happy with it. Continue to next question. Now I can provide my national insurance number. Let's give it a random one. Submit that for review. Am I legally married? No. And do you remember, if you remember from the previous screen, if I ticked yes, it would show me a different question underneath. So when I press no, it just goes straight through to this that I put in earlier. If I hit yes, so if I revise this and I hit yes, you can now see that these questions have popped up. But the thing that hopefully you're taking away from this is I'm only ever seeing one question at a time, and I'm then getting ticks So this gamifies that experience for us. So from a client's perspective, you're wanting to complete this. You can see at the bottom, hey, look, this is where I want to get to 100%. But more importantly, I'm only ever seeing the relevant question to answer. I can then ask questions as well. I can say, do we need? Add that comment. I can save that for a draft and I can move to the next. Then when we go to, this was the example I showed you about uploading PDF information. You can see I want P60, P45, and import documents. That's the instruction field. So you can see you could leave in really in-depth instructions, and the accepted file type is PDF. So that's what the client is going to see. I'm just going to jump straight back into here. What's going to happen is you're going to see that's the request that we've just done. Once they start working on that, you're going to be able to see, cool, please provide the full name, Thomas Charles Johnson, and you have these options. You can approve, reject, or revise it. So if you approve it, you're happy with it. If you reject it, you can give a reason why. So now the client specifically knows where they went wrong and what they need to sort out. We can revise it. So if we know, for example, they've missed that, we can revise that from our end. The beauty of that is we get that audit trail here. We can also have communications. If there's multiple staff members on this, we can leave internal comments, so we can talk internally. So I can approve that. I can see that number, that isn't right. We need the letters too. So now the client's going to get a notification of where they went wrong. And what this is just going to help you do is get the information in correctly, but more importantly, it's going to help you work with your client to get information correct first time. And that then obviously leads us on to the recurring and bulk. So if there's requests that you have to ask every month or whether every year, so one of the ones that comes to mind is MTD is coming in, you're going to have to ask for certain information or even just confirmation of information every quarter. For you to send out a template, then follow that up one time a year is pretty daunting. Imagine doing that 4 times a year. What you could do is you could just come in here, you could choose, for example, let's say this was MTD. We could choose the MTD template. We can give it a name. We can then create, we can choose all the clients that it's relevant to. We can then create a schedule. So I can say, cool, start this right now. I want this to never end, and I want it to be sent out every month, every year, every week, or go into a custom date schedule. And then we send that. And now all I know, what happens now is we've got that default communication schedule. So right now, soon when I press activate, what would happen is Content Snare every quarter or every month would just go out and it would say, hey, this is the information that we need from you. So that's Content Snare in a nutshell. The other things to look at when you start going through is obviously you can import your clients, add your team members. We have smart requests. So let's say you've got an outsourcing team, they come back to you and they say, these are all the things we need to know. You can actually copy and paste those questions directly into here, and our inbuilt AI will go and build you a request. The idea is that Content Snare is completely customizable to how you want it to look. The second end of that is it's completely stripped back for your client. So it's really easy for them to give you the information. The benefit you will see of using the tool is information will come in nice and quick. Now, I'm pretty sure I'm close to my time. So what I'll do is I'll take any questions or anything you've got now.
Thanks, Tom. That was absolutely brilliant. I recognize that stop-start of trying to get information from clients, and they send part of it, but not everything, and you chase them. And I just, it's like nagging toddlers sometimes.
Yeah, somebody said to me, they said, I'm a bookkeeper, not a babysitter, and I shouldn't be sending, where is this, where is that? And hopefully I conveyed that. The platform is every element of Content Snare you can customize, and everything can be changed, dragged and dropped. The problem is trying to condense all that to show you. The best thing you can do is set up a trial and just actually play with it yourself, because you'll see how it works.
Lovely. And do we need to put in credit card details for that trial?
You can just start a trial and away you go. Yeah, I'm a big believer. Also, if so you can head to the Content Snare website. I think we've got an offer for you as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, if for example, and one of the things I know is that this is really going to be a really busy time if you get into account text and everything else that follows. You can send me an email, tom@contentsnare.com. If you've watched this and you start a trial, not only can you take the offer, but what I'll do is I'll extend your trial for you for 30 days. It's 14 days at the moment. I'll extend it for 30, so it gives you
You're
more
lovely.
time to actually play around.
See, you're as wonderful on that side of the world as you are on this one.
Thank you.
So I have some questions here. So the client is inputting data and then they then have to go away and check something. Can they stop and save it at that point?
Yeah, auto saves.
Brilliant.
And that's what the protect with the pin as well is great for, because they can then just come back, enter the pin, away they go.
Excellent. And can they upload their P60, for instance, upload the various documents as well as just answer the questions?
Yeah. So you can have multiple file upload requests, and yeah, they can upload whatever they need to.
Okay, brilliant. And then, so once it's completed at our end, can we download the questions and the documents to save elsewhere?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can I probably should have shown you that. There's an export function. You can export the request as well as all the uploaded documents. But if you've got like a Google Drive, a OneDrive or a SharePoint, you can toggle that to an automation. So as soon as you complete the request, all of that is automatically uploaded there.
Okay. And when it comes to tax return season, how do we get our client names and emails in there? Do you integrate with anything in that respect, or is there a bulk upload or something?
Yeah, so I'm guessing you mean like pre-filled information for the client, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So at the moment, no, we are looking at mapping in that. What you can do is obviously you can just ask the client for that information. You can pre-fill it. The beauty of Content Snare is the more you use it, the better it will get. So first year, yeah, you might have to do that. Second year, what you can actually do is you can duplicate the request you sent out, and you can choose to duplicate it with answers or not answers. So what a lot of users do now, and we have it here for ITR season, which is the same as UK to an extent, so traders, is they duplicate the request and they say, has anything changed? And if it's yes, then with that part of the checklist, what's changed, email address, whatever, and they can toggle the stuff that's changed and then input the information.
That sounds brilliant. And how much does that cost us for doing so much work for us?
Yeah, so it's a really cheap price, 100 million a month, if that's all right. That's Vietnamese dong. So we built in US dollars, and the reason why is when we started with a lot of US clients. It's now just the most recognized currencies. We work globally. So pricing is really simple. We bill on active requests, and we start at $29 for our basic plan. So that will get you 20 active requests. So the emphasis there is active. You can have
at the moment that's clients. £22, so it's just over £1 per request.
Yeah. Yep. So per active request. So you can send as many requests as many clients. It's just how many open at once. So basic starts there. You can go all the way up to large, which is 200 active requests. That's about $179. Most people will sit between Plus and Pro. So that's 50 to 100 requests. That's about $59 on the Plus to Pro, which is $99. The thing on that, which I found really interesting, you might tell me again I'm weird, but we have a 23.9% return on investment. And I've sense checked this with UK accountancy firms, and some of them have even higher.
That sounds excellent. You've got it in accountants' terms.
Well, I try. Know your audience, right?
Okay, that's absolutely brilliant. I think that's everything. As you say, we have, if I put up the right one with the offer on. So we get some money off initially. That sounds really good.
Yeah, I think it's one of those that we we want to launch more into the UK. So the platform obviously works everywhere. The platform's actually in 6 different languages. So if you fancy sending one of your British clients to French for a laugh, I don't know if it would be a laugh, you can. But yeah, if you scan that, that will take you to the trial platform. The thing to note on this, right? So this offer ends on the 31st of May. But here's what happens is if you take your trial out and say you're like, yeah, this is the platform for me, you input your details and you choose a plan, you won't actually be billed until your trial ends. So that's something to note. But like I said, obviously I won't know if you're from this group until I get added in. But if you drop me an email, tom@contentsnare.com, say, hey, I've started a trial, I'll see your email address and I'll be able to extend that trial period for you as well.
That's lovely. So that's tom@contentsnare.com. Lovely. And any problems, anything, tom@contentsnare.com.
Yeah, just to confirm, that's Della Hudson at...
That sounds brilliant. Thank you so much, Tom, for your time. And this will be recorded in the group. Now, I'm just going to go through some of the other things that we have going on in the group over the next month. So we have, what do we have? So this week, lots of us are at AccountX. And if you have any software that you would like me to arrange a demo for, please let me know and I shall go and talk to them. I'm very happy to do that. Any excuse to talk to fintechs. Wednesday, the 21st of May, lunchtime, we have the Startup Q&A where you can come along and ask all sorts of questions. We have it's effectively a 5-week month this month. So Wednesday lunchtime on the 28th, we have the 25-hour week, how to start, grow, sell a business on 25 hours a week. And then Monday evening on the 2nd of June, we have another tech demo. We are just getting that finalized now. So lots going on, as well as all the day-to-day questions in the group. So thank you very much, Tom. We'll let you go back to bed now while we get on with our evening.
Thanks so much.
So take care and hope to see you again soon.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Della. Take care. Have a good one. Bye-bye.